great power comes great badassery. Our favourite superheroes might be loved for all their morals and sense of justice, but let's face it, a huge chunk of their popularity comes from their epic fights and bossy standards. Now, you seem to want more and more with each video, so the TV region brings to you the top 25 most badass superhero scenes in the movies, Volume 2. I know she isn't technically a superhero, but Harley Quinn's portrayal in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is pretty much that of an anti-hero, so she meets the TVCU standard, okay? I'm sure most of us are fans of the Psycho Queen for more romantic reasons, but that doesn't take anything away from her badass fighting skills. I mean, just look at how she takes down all those soldiers during the chaotic escape scene. It was already cool enough to see Harley choke a dude with her legs while hanging off the ceiling, but then she went ahead and took down an entire army in a pretty thrilling sequence. Got to admit, it's quite amazing to see an assassin like her switch from silly to sassy in the blink of an eye. Margot Robbie might be stealing the limelight right now because of Barbie, but she'll always live rent-free in my heart as the Joker's deranged lover. If I mention the Joker, then you can rest assured the Dark Knight isn't too far away. Well, in this case, we're dealing with the Robert Pattinson version, but they've already teased Barry Keoghan as the iconic villain, so I can't wait to see that happen. Of course, we're dealing with badass scenes here, so I'm going to talk about how Bruce Wayne went from being the shadows to coming out of the shadows. Bro doesn't even need to say a single word as he takes down all those fake clown goons in a nicely directed fight scene that's got all the elements of a horror thriller emanating through its execution. After all the initial hesitation to accept a Twilight vampire as the new Batman, it sure was a relief to see Pattinson nail his role, and I'm totally on board for the Masked Vigilante's upcoming sequel.
Light in the sky. It's not just a call. It's a warning.
You must have heard of the name Mephisto, right? Big demon dude with an insatiable appetite for despair? Yeah, that's the kind of guy that you want to stay away from. Unless, of course, your name happens to be Nicolas Cage. I've always maintained that Hollywood's favourite madman is the perfect actor to portray overpowered figures from mythical lore, and the Ghost Rider film makes for the perfect justification of my statement. Spirit of Vengeance takes things to the next level when Johnny Blaze resorts to his iconic Fire Skull and sends the devil himself back to hell. Come on now, how many guys out there could proudly say something like that? It's the mark of ultimate dominance and further cements Ghost Rider as an undisputable champion. You gotta give it to Mr. Cage here. Bro plays the role of a flaming skeleton in one movie and a sunlight-sensitive vampire in the next.
Look into my eyes.
So let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
I've completely fallen in love with this film after a few repeat viewings, and more so its titular hero V. It's a pretty simple name to remember, but epic characters always like to add some context. That's exactly what he does here with Natalie Portman. Of course, he's got to save her first from all those grumpy thugs, but the way he went about his job made me wonder if he was some kind of Shakespearean fanatic operating behind that mask. Bro took down an entire gang all while speaking in riddles and using ancient English to make his point to the confused Evie Hammond. I mean, all he had to do was say his name V, but I guess such a simple tactic wouldn't really fit him with his brand, would it?
After I kill Victor, I'm coming for you. You wanted the animal, Colonel. You got it.
only a matter of time before the Wolverine was going to show himself here, wasn't it? My favourite action sequence from this film is the epic fight between Logan and Agent Zero's helicopter, primarily because it just feels very realistic, unlike the final battle against fake Deadpool. It's an extended sequence, but I'm fine with that because it only means we get to see more of Hugh Jackman flexing in his most iconic role ever. Wolverine's treatment of Agent Zero was already pretty savage to begin with, so this must have felt like rubbing salt into his wounds. The only difference here is though that Mr. Zero doesn't exactly survive his injuries. I kind of feel bad for him in that regard. The stunt coordination looks sick right from the get-go, and of course, how could I not shout out the final moment where Logan walks away from the explosion? That's peak alpha male vibes right there.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Being a badass doesn't always have to mean using a bunch of overpowered moves to beat up the bad guys. Sometimes, all you need to learn is the gift of negotiation and you're good to go. Case in point, Dr. Stephen Strange, who manages to save the world from being gobbled by Dormammu, all with one simple line that would go on to become an extremely viral meme. The scene perfectly captured the MCU's ability to turn any troublesome situation into a comical moment while at the same time maintaining the seriousness of the overall objective. It's kind of sad that they've lost that ability now with all their lazy writers, but hey, it's nice to think back to those good old days every once in a while, isn't it? You just had to be there. The whole "I've come to bargain" bit became an unbeatable trend for months to come after the film's initial release. Scenes like these were exactly why everyone was calling the Marvel franchise unstoppable.
This is time. Endless looped time.
Of course, for the MCU to become the gigantic juggernaut it was up until the aftermath of Avengers Endgame, the studio execs needed blockbuster films that would make billions of dollars at the box office. After the initial wave of Phase 1 films, we finally got the first Avengers movie, and it swept the world with over $1.5 billion at the box office. Now, most of us might be remembering this film because of the final battle or Iron Man's sassy performance, but let's not forget the interrogation scene with Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson has proven time and time again that she's got the perfect mix of beauty and skill, with this sequence being just one of many examples. Of course, it's got badass written all over it because she performs an epic switch from damsel in distress to brutal assassin. Man, I strive to have the kind of confidence Natasha Romanoff possesses.
And you know that Stark trusts me about as far as he can throw me.
So fucking dead.
I don't think the world was quite ready for Kick-Ass when it released back in 2010. Yeah, sure, it was during the time parody films were pretty popular, so it does make some kind of sense, but come on, a bunch of teens dressing up in funny costumes to fight crime? What is this, Teen Titans? Luckily though, for the production house, it made good money and we got some really likable characters. One of them is undoubtedly Hit Girl, who has now become one of Chloe Grace Moretz's more memorable roles. Look, she's basically Catwoman on a low budget, but don't let that fool you. If you remember the apartment fight scene, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. The woman literally marks her appearance by stabbing a guy right through his chest. Do you need me to explain that any further?